What's up? Welcome back to the cave with Saladin Ellis. Listen, I've been probably like you all week hearing things about FEMA can't have no funds. It's because of the migrants and the Democrats are giving it to them to shelter illegal immigrants, and because they're giving it to Ukraine, because they're giving it to Israel to fight their war. All we know is that the FEMA don't have any money. I heard in certain states that the Coast Guard is being mobilized in order to help and do what FEMA can't, which they should be able to do. We're giving all this money to all these other nations and for these other migrants. It's true. But I've also been hearing that Biden and Kamala, like, no, that's not true. That's not the reason why. And then people also saying, hey, they getting $750. That's it. And they only qualify if their Wi-Fi down. That's the type of stuff I'm hearing. So you know what we got to do? We got to go down the rabbit hole, see what's true, see what's false, make our own opinion, come to our own conclusions. That's what we do here, coming out the cave, seeing reality. So we're going to start with this, the Daily Brief, see some of the victims of the hurricane, see what they have to say.
The aftermath of Hurricane Helene continues to devastate communities, the damage now exposing FEMA assistant gaps in Appalachia. Residents of western North Carolina are feeling the impacts of Helene, with rescue efforts in the region stalled from impassable roads and damaged cellular networks. Floodwaters pushed by remnants of the hurricane have isolated the city of Asheville, and now some residents are taking matters into their own hands. Local restaurants have been dispatching food deliveries in the area, and private citizens have been driving tractors to clear debris. Frustrations are also boiling.
They said that the local citizens have taken everything into hand. We're helping so many nations. We're giving billions of dollars for defense and to kill other people and to do all this and to house these people and take care of these people, and we can't even help ourselves. Can you imagine paying your neighbor's rent and not paying your own? That's what they're doing.
Over the speed of assistance, and calls are growing louder to make the help come faster. The storm dumped over 14 inches of rain over 3 days in western North Carolina, wreaking havoc and causing mudslides and massive devastation. Now there's concern that the destruction in North Carolina will prevent voters from getting to the polls. News Nation's Blake Berman has the latest from the...
They worry about them polls. Oh, they worry about them polls. They ain't going to be worried about them after the polls, but they worry about it during.
Tar Heel State in our continuing Swing State Spotlight series.
All right, so the damage and destruction that you see there could disrupt the presidential election in the battleground state. North Carolina election officials working to determine the status of its polling places. Roads as well for postal workers that are handing out ballots, delivering them at least. Now, as of right now, early voting is still on track, as of now, to begin October 17th in the Tar Heel State. It is one of a handful of battleground states, 7 really. Now, there's a chance it could go blue for the second time since 1976. And as part of our continuing Swing State Spotlight series tonight, we focus on the Tar Heel State, and joining us live from High Point, North Carolina, that is east of Asheville, is our next star colleague at WGHP. He is the senior reporter, Bob Buckley.
WGHP.
Bob, thanks for being with us here on the Hill. So you really have a September surprise and an October surprise. The Lieutenant Governor, Mark Robinson.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Let's focus first, though, on that October surprise, because that's going to be the most consequential one. You know, it's a bit of an irony that water's essential for life, but it becomes deadly and destructive when it comes in torrents.
Facts.
Brooke covered well what's going on in the mountains, so I won't get into the physical things that are happening, but I will tell you we still have an election that's going to come off on November 5th. And as you just mentioned, early voting's supposed to start in 2 weeks. I don't see any way that happens in most of these counties up in the mountains. And here's the real ramifications of that. The 14 counties most affected by this storm, you have an island of blue in Asheville, a very progressive city, and a sea of red in all the rural counties around it. Former President Trump...
Look at all that destruction. It's like a third world country. Just like if they took this and told you it was Cambodia somewhere, Malaysia, or somewhere you think where there's water, but there's like this type of dirt and terrain, you wouldn't even second guess it. It don't like a United States territory.
Won those 14 counties by more than 90,000 votes in 2020. but he only won the state overall by 75,000 votes. So getting all those voters who are now displaced to the polls is going to be massive for the Republicans this November.
And Bob, real quick, because we're seeing Liz Cheney bottom right of our screen, which means Kamala Harris set to speak around the corner. Mark Robinson, how's that shaking up the race?
Well, you know, I've covered politics since Ronald Reagan was president. I've never seen a case where a statewide race could affect a federal race. But Mark Robinson, who had a lot of comments that were pretty inflammatory even before he ran, is now got this new reports out of some things he said that is really turning a lot of voters off, especially the independents. And if enough Republicans simply stay home or don't vote at all in some form, that can be enough when President Trump only won the state by 1.5% last time around. If enough stay home, he could lose it. And if he doesn't,
they were undecided. Our friend Matt Taglia, Senior Director of Emerson College Polling, joins us now to break down the numbers. Matt,
let's see if they got any more about the actual flood in this one. All right, I don't know what they're talking about.
Georgia.
This one, J.D. Vance disagrees that FEMA needs hurricane funding after spending on illegal immigrants. See what J.D. got to say.
Next question.
Thank you for doing this, Senator. My question for you is, what do you have to say about President Trump pushing the claim that FEMA is running out of money for her hurricane relief because of funding for programs that support migrants?
Well,
and just before you answer that question, I wanted to let you know, I just don't want to get political with this and worry about who's in the lead right now when we talk about people dying. Just like when it comes to Gaza and all that in Ukraine, people are actually dying. I don't want to hear about the politics and who's leading in the polls, really. But let's see what JD said.
Well, let me say a couple things about this. First of all, the idea that FEMA is running out of money is something that the leadership of the Harris administration has said. That especially if there's another disaster, they've said that they might have to go back to the well. And I think a lot of Americans are saying, well, how can we afford to give billions of dollars to illegal immigrants in this country, but we've got to go back to the well to provide disaster relief for our own citizens? That's a disgrace. Now, the media.
The federal government living like the rest of Americans, paycheck to paycheck, credit card to credit card, robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's crazy. It's like they're splurging on things they like to have. It's these people, these politicians, they get paid by lobbyists, right? They'll come and say, hey, we want to sell more bombs to this nation. Hey, we want to sell more of this to this nation. Pass this law, pass this bill, make this deal. And we'll sell this to them for, we'll sell $10 billion worth of missiles to them over the next 8 years. And we'll give you, $30 million throughout your campaign. We'll trickle it down to you over the next 5 years or something like that. We'll get it. And these politicians are like, yeah, okay. But then it's the same thing with Americans when they go out and purchase Louis Vuitton or Gucci or some brand name, and then they ain't got money for the basic utilities and to eat. It's crazy. They left us vulnerable.
The media's obsessed with, well, there's one bucket of money over here and there's another bucket of money over here. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that our own government is sending billions of dollars to illegal aliens when there are hardworking Americans. We got to focus on them. Focus on our American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by these terrible storms. That's what Kamala Harris ought to be doing, and it's a damn shame that she's
Secretary.
And a lot of these politicians are taking sides. Like, the Democrats like, we need to send money to the Ukraine and Israel, and the Republicans like, we should be sending money to the Ukraine. We should be sending money to Israel. And it's like the people at home is like, we don't have enough money to take care of us. We love them, but they should stop fighting. We don't have any money. Tell them, hey, listen, we want to support you, Israel, and you're our ally, but we ain't got no money. No, we can't do that. We tell American people that's hurting, that's dying, that's in trouble, that you see in these images. Look, North Carolina, what's that? Tennessee, Florida, all these places need help, and we're sending money to these other nations, these other people to help them.
Alejandro Mayorkas sounding the alarm on FEMA funding right after the devastation of Hurricane Helene. Listen.
We are meeting the immediate needs, with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make.
They're expecting another hurricane to hit. Another one while they're already down. Holy shit.
Make it through the season.
This all comes as the Biden-Harris administration spent over $1 billion from a FEMA program on services for migrants. Attorney General of the great state of Florida, Ashley Moody, joins me now. AG Moody, why does the Biden-Harris administration always seem to help American taxpayers last?
Good morning, Todd. Yeah, everyone should be waking up this morning outraged by that comment. This is not something that has just happened recently, and Florida's been warning about this since this administration took over. Mayorkas has come in like a virus and infected these what need to be healthy, strong, fundamental programs to ensure the stability and safety of Americans in times of disaster. So you heard, they have taken the FEMA Emergency Food and Shelter Program and over time siphoned off hundreds of millions of dollars into basically making it an illegal immigrant resettlement program. And so when you see these states and cities around the nation declaring emergencies, even blue states, because of what this administration has done, encouraging more and more and more, developing programs to encourage more and more and more people to come here, the government, Biden and Harris, are having to fund that on the backs of the American people. And now, right now, in Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, all of these states are hurting because of this truly natural disaster, not a Biden-Harris-made disaster. They're saying we need more money. And of course they need more money because they've been laundering it from the true intended purpose of this fund that Congress set forth. Laws be damned.
And you know that it's probably didn't even get to the migrants. Most of it got to their pockets of the politicians, and a couple dollars of it got to the migrants. You know that's not even where most of this went. It was siphoned off. So they're not gonna let people go and dig and see where the money go. They're just gonna accept it. Yeah, it went to the migrants or. Oh, this is so stupid. They just split us all apart. Both sides, and give money to who they want and just act like they ain't got no money for us.
There's two things going on here. We just touched upon the main thing, this horrific prioritization of migrants over American taxpayers. But there's also something else here. What does this say about the Biden-Harris administration's ability to just lead? If they underfunded FEMA this much, and we are not even close to being in the heart of hurricane season, which in reality is August, September, October, and November, A.G. Moody.
Look, this is what President Trump did so well while in office. He could get to a 30,000-foot level, look at the health of American agencies and programs.
He just said August, September, October, November. So, I mean, we kind of are in the heart of it, I guess. Wouldn't we be in the thick of it right now, leading up to November?
Determine what the problems were and enlist resources, talented individuals, and a strategy to put Americans and the safety and strength of this nation first. I've seen it work here in Florida with Governor DeSantis. We decide where our problems are, we set forth to fix them, and we make sure not only money, but the strategy and talented personnel are in place to fix them. So, for example, when you have a disaster like this, and you know when there's no electricity, instability, when there's people needing just the basics of life because of a disaster. I was with officers the other night, and we surged our resources in vulnerable areas to looting. We made sure officers knew what to look for when it was in complete darkness. Right. They knew what to charge. We make sure our state attorneys know to hold these people so they don't get back out and start ravaging these communities again. It takes proactive efforts, and you just do not see this out of this administration. And here in the roosters of coming home to roost, look at what's happening right now.
The Florida model
when
really...
we're in the middle of a disaster with this administration at the helm.
You're right. She tried to pull a Malcolm X. The roosters have come home to roost. chickens have come home to roost, whatever it is. Oh,
Right, the Florida model really does need to be a 50-state solution. Just want to mention this. You all launched an anti-looting team in response to Hurricane Helene, coming as 8 migrant workers are arrested in Tennessee, accused of stealing from flooded buildings. You guys do it right down there. I would just add, only a depraved person steals from someone in their time of need. AG Ashley Moody.
Let's turn now.
He said migrant workers. I don't know what they were working on, but that's crazy that we ain't got this. And he said, I'm not sure how hurricane season work, if it's like the end towards, October, November, that's when the worst part of it happens. I'm not sure, but if it is, I feel so bad for these people. I hope they get this money. I hope we tell, Zelensky, hey, and I'm going to keep reiterating this. This is literally calls. Ukraine, Israel, migrants that are causing the issues. They could be feeding the homeless and housing them. We've seen COVID. They could house these people.
To Hurricane Helene and the rising death toll, with more than 200 people now confirmed dead, hundreds more still missing. Helene now
200 Americans. 200 people. But we're just going to call them Americans when they're home. We all know it's worse if they're your family than your neighbors. It's all sad, but it's just 200. Look at these. The American dream. All he was trying to do is get the American dream.
the deadliest hurricane to hit the mainland U.S. since Hurricane Katrina in 2005. President Biden and Vice President Harris touring hard-hit communities across the Southeast, and earlier this week deploying active-duty troops. Donald Trump preparing to make his second visit to Georgia today and claiming without evidence that the Biden administration is withholding aid from states including Georgia and North Carolina.
They stole the FEMA money just like they stole it from a bank so they could give it to their illegal immigrants that they want to have vote for them this season. You know, they're trying to get them on the voters' roll. We cannot let that happen.
Trump just say whatever he wants, though. I ain't mad at him.
The White House pushing back against those allegations, releasing a statement that says this, quote, "This is false. The Disaster Relief Fund is specifically appropriated by Congress to prepare for, respond to, recover from, and mitigate impacts of natural disasters.
But can they do it?
Separate from other grant programs administered by FEMA for DHS." Our panel is back here. Now, this is...
So where's the money? I don't want to listen to a panel. Not really, but I'm saying.
From a helicopter pilot. I mean, this is happening in America. That is a challenge for Biden and Harris.
Yeah, and Trump seized on it right away last weekend. He was the first one of these three people to be on the ground when he went to Georgia last weekend. Meanwhile, after the hurricane made landfall, Joe Biden did go to travel to Rehoboth Beach over the weekend. When he was asked about it, he said, "Well, I had a telephone," and it seemed like a little bit flip. And then Kamala Harris also realized there was a problem because she was out on the West Coast on a fundraising swing and quickly sort of came back. And now you see that they are scrambling to sort of show that they are on the ground. Joe Biden making several visits to storm-damaged areas.
So it's like they miscalculated, or they're like, whatever. Like they taking gambles with these people's lives. Like nothing happened. And he said, "I have a phone." That's crazy.
That's the last 2 days.
It's just tone deaf. Like, of course we know you got a phone. You can't do nothing. You're old. What you gonna do? But you're not supposed to say that.
And so they're trying to sort of play a little catch-up here.
Yeah, I mean, Megan, how would you grade the performance so far?
Well, I think it's a little bit more nuanced. The resources that they draw from going on the ground, that takes actually away from people doing rescue and these active, things that the people actually need, the police resources. So I don't think it's fair for them to be on the ground. I actually think it's a mistake for them to be on the ground.
But what about going back to the White House as this is unfolding?
I mean, the president can be the president from anywhere, so that falls a little flat. He shouldn't be so flip, but that's his nature to say flip things. You just saw him say that about Israel, about,
She called it flip.
Are you confident it's not going to rain? So that's just his nature. Is it appropriate? Probably not. Should he choose a different tone? Sure, but that is his nature. But I do think, he was very quick to put out disaster relief declarations. They are very quick to do that. That is always something they do. He's always in touch with the governors and the mayors on the ground. I don't think anyone on the ground is saying that their actions are slow. But being there,
Governor Kemp did complain that some of that not enough counties were covered by disaster declarations. Said he had to call Jeff Zients, chief of staff, and then get it expanded.
Totally fair. But I also think though that optics do matter, and being on the ground matters, and that's what people remember. And so I do think it is hard. The resource argument is a fair argument, but it is hard to show people and tell people that when they don't have lights, they don't have cell coverage, their family members are missing.
Look at this. They should be there. The president should be there. It should be everything internationally should stop. It should be, hold on, I'll meet with you tomorrow. world leader. Hey, dictator, I'll meet with you tomorrow. Hey, you, I'll meet with you. I'll call you because you can make any other call. What were you doing at the beach that you couldn't be doing over here in North Carolina? I'm sure they could have set up something for you. It don't take away. It adds to it. Putting the spotlight on this would have added to it and hurry up to clean up all the funds. That, the president down there, we need to make sure all these people there, we need to get this there. Come on, he should have went there.
I think they want to see leadership, and even last night he was saying, what storm zone? And people are very happy, and you're right. Certainly doesn't look like the people are happy on the ground, but Governor Kemp wasn't happy with the limited scope of the FEMA declaration. And there's also been mixed messages from Mayorkas and DHS and FEMA about this. 3 months ago, they were saying we have plenty of money, we'll be fine. Recently saying we don't have enough to get us through hurricane season. And so that mixed messages, I think it's been a lackluster response across the board for a storm that is sneakily historic.
Yeah. Joining me now to talk more about this, Kevin Fry, Washington correspondent for Spectrum News. The campaign season can be
even if it's not based in fact, for the Trump campaign. And Trump is able to appear with Brian Kemp, with other folks, to show that he is making inroads with parts of the party that, quite frankly, were quite critical of him just within the last few years.
Yeah. The central challenge here, too, I mean, as this response goes on, there potentially is some risk, I think, for Democrats in... there are a lot of questions about all of the people that are still missing in the mountains of North Carolina. How much of a challenge is that potentially for Harris, considering she is the sitting vice president?
Right, and I believe it is now the second deadliest hurricane incident since Hurricane Katrina. Correct me if I'm wrong there. And we all remember the devastating impact that had on George Bush's legacy in the immediate aftermath of that, in terms of people questioning his ability to lead through such a crisis. As we continue to see these communities that are cut off in North Carolina and other parts of the country, particularly in these key battleground states, let's not forget that, that could pose all sorts of difficulties.
Right, they stole the FEMA money just like they stole it from a bank so they could give it to their illegal immigrants.
Well, 10 TV political reporter Doug Petch looked into this for us tonight, and the question being, is
Doug looked into that statement. Let's see what he says, what he uncovered.
Is FEMA running out of disaster relief funding because it's being spent on undocumented migrants?
No, there's two different questions. Is FEMA running out of money? Boom. Is FEMA running out of money because of giving to undocumented immigrants? And if you say no to the second one, you still got to answer the first one.
Doug, what's the answer?
Well, the answer is no, Angela. The administration did not divert money from FEMA's disaster relief fund, but there is a separate fund administered by FEMA that does give hundreds of millions of dollars to help undocumented migrants. The White House pushed back on Trump's claims in a statement saying this is false. The disaster relief fund is specifically appropriated by Congress to prepare for, respond to, recover from, and mitigate impacts of natural disasters. It is completely separate from other grant programs administered by FEMA for DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, that is.
But if the money wasn't there, then what would have been given to FEMA? Because it might be playing with words. You know how they do. We don't do that in the cave, but they play with words outside.
On its website, FEMA said basically the same thing, that no money is being diverted from disaster response needs. That being said, FEMA does administer the separate Shelter and Services Program in partnership with U.S. Customs and Border Protection. That program provides financial support to non-federal entities to help non-citizen migrants. Its budget this year, $640 million. And just last month, 10 TV reported the city of Columbus received a $6.6 million grant through the program to provide shelter for immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers. City officials say the grant will build upon partnerships and expand the capacity to provide shelter and material assistance for migrants and displaced residents. The city will get the money over 3 years. Now, Springfield, the Ohio city at the center of false claims about immigrants amplified by Trump, did not receive any grant funding through the Shelter and Services Program. In the studio, Doug Petch.
Yo, that's crazy. The government, like the rest, like the average Americans, having kids they can't take care of. They just keep bringing more and more kids into this house, and they ain't got the money, nor the time, or the resources to take care of the ones that they got, to make sure they could provide them for education, right? Not just take them to the 18, but provide them with different assistance and educations to have a good life and to prosper and to be on that pursuit of happiness. I don't know what they're doing. They just want the votes. Like, Oh my God. So many people are lives are put on risk because of money, because of behind backdoor deals and being greedy. Like, these people don't believe in karma or believe in just being good for no reason. Like, we're all here for one time. As far as we know, we all get one shot at this. Why wouldn't you want to be good? Why would you choose to be evil in this one shot? And if you have, then you let life defeat you, because life is going to be hard on everybody. These politicians let life defeat them, or they probably started as an intern for another politician. They seen them take money, and they like, oh, they did that, but I ain't gonna never do that. I'm telling you, most people justify it. They don't see it as I'm doing something evil, taking his money. They're like, well, they gonna sell these missiles over to them anyway, so I might as well be the one to sell it to them, because if not me, they're gonna go to him. It's like drug dealers. Like, oh, if not me, they're gonna go over there, so why not? I might as well get the money. It's stupid. Let me know what y'all think about this whole FEMA thing. I wish it was something. Everybody wish it was something they could do. Just go down there and help or something. And go down where, right? You go down to North Carolina, you go to Florida, you go to Tennessee. It's too many different places, and they knew that this was coming. So let me know what y'all think, man. Yeah. See you on the next one.